Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. It is the 17th of February, year 2021. And it seems like here in the United States, we've been affected by winter storms. I live in the state of Texas. Quite a few people are affected right this whole week with power outages, broken pipes, all kinds of life challenges. I think the spiritual lesson being acceptance of what is, right? So here we are. We were thinking that we were not going to make it, but we made it. I did not lose power, so I have my internet connection. I'm joined by our panel. I have Kelly, who's our Qigong teacher. Good evening, Kelly. I have Eileen, our incredible she does an incredible job of keeping us all together and streamlined. And April and Louise are back. Good evening, April and Louise. April is a psychic medium and a spiritual teacher. Louise, our author and spiritual teacher. Good evening. And then we have Caesar joining us from the road. Be careful, Caesar. Good evening, who is also a medium. So I think April and Louise last time we were going through if you all remember, we were going through the 7 spiritual laws of success, and then we were talking about the limiting beliefs around it. And we had stopped at my intentions and desires are supported by planetary intelligence. And what I had brought up for Travis, Kelly, and Caesar was the intention. Why are my intentions and desires with around finances? What is the limiting belief around finances? I know Kelly, Travis, and Caesar had things to say. Do you all have any input on when around finances, what could be my limiting beliefs? I'll let Louise speak first, and then April can speak. Go ahead, Louise.
Well, one thing, because I was listening last Wednesday, and some things that popped in my head were just a lot of things that I take for granted when it comes to money flowing in. And so I just felt like it just reminded me a lot of we're a one income family, and we're raising 3 small kids. So it can sometimes feel a little stressed, but I feel like when things start to get like a little tight, or I just feel like it always just comes whenever I least expect it. Just recently, one of the girls from my grandparents raising grandchildren's support group had nominated me to get so we could get like free babysitting respite care. And I never ever would even have thought of that, to even apply for it or anything, because a lot of times we don't qualify for a lot of things because it looks like a lot of money when my husband puts his income down, so we don't get anything really. And I got this letter in the mail. It says, "Congratulations, you won $100 of respite care." And it gave the people, and I was just like, wow, and I don't even, that was one of the things that I just go, oh, well, that's great. But instead of being really thankful for it, because it's those kind of things that just keep flowing in. And I think I do take a lot of it for granted. And I do believe that the more I give without really expecting anything in return, that it does come back in some way or another. And there's just so many other incidents that I could give as examples, but it's just constant, I had this big, huge report I had to do for the state. And I normally don't have anybody to help. And my daughter-in-law goes, guess what? I have Wednesday night off, and if you want to, I'll bring the kids and you and your husband could spend time alone and you can get your report done. And it happened to be one of the Wednesday nights when you guys were on. And it was so cool because I asked my husband, do you want to watch it with me? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he's usually not very open to very many spiritual things. So it's things like that that just come. And recently too, I got a phone call from the county worker where we adopted the kids from. And she said, because of COVID, they're going to, if I fill out this application, and it's like you got to write like a day in the life, what it's like it's kind of like an application process, then they would give each kid $350. So it's things like that that just come when I least expect it. And I think the key is to just, keep giving what you can without any expectations and just watch it flow back to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Louise. So stop and take a few minutes for gratitude.
Right, definitely. I think if I was more, aligned with that things would even be better.
Perfect. Thank you. Beautiful. April, did you think of something that around finances, what kind of limiting beliefs could we have that would prevent us from our intentions and desires, having that feeling of intentions and desires are supported by planetary intelligence?
I think that it goes back to the core limiting belief, in my opinion, which is that we're not worthy. That's the core limiting belief, is that we are bad or we're not worthy. And that I think it seeps into everything in our life. Our relationships, our work, our money, all of it. Business adventures. And for me, money's been a huge issue in my life, mostly because I've been raising children, numerous children, and children seem to cost a lot of money, right? Been very poor in my life. And we equate money, our society coming over here from the England way of life, our society equates how much money you have or how much property you have or how much land you have with value, with worth. We equate that, together. I thought the big thing in life was I had to get a house, right? I'm not accomplished until I get a house. I have to have that thing made of wood and in this box form. Well, I got the house, didn't feel any more worthy once I got that box, right? It doesn't. So it goes down to your worth, what you believe that you're worth. And a lot of us, the way our society is created, for now, at least, many of us don't feel worthy. I was just thinking about this the other day about how we're not equal yet. We think we're equal. In the spiritual realm, we are teaching that we're equal. But in reality, I could not go walk up into Oprah's yard. I could not. We're not equal, right? And until we are, we're going to have this problem of limiting beliefs, of lack of money flow, of poverty consciousness, of not being worthy. So I believe that that's the core, is that we still have this mentality that we need to achieve, we need to accomplish, we need to have, and that we're not good enough and we need to keep striving to get more. As far as turning that around in my life, I do believe in affirmations. I 100% believe in gratitude. But there's a misconception that came out with The Secret that all I had to do was sit on the couch and eat potato chips and wish happy thoughts. And that's coming to me. And I fell flat for that secret. I fell right for that. I'm just going to think happy thoughts and it's coming. Right. And I think that's a huge part of it. The energy I project out does come back, but you also got to put some effort in. The universe does ask for you to put effort in, whether that be you get up and go to that job and you do that. Well, it may not be your perfect job, but you go there doing your best. That's the intention. I'm going to present my best. I'm going to be my best being, my best, until the universe opens that next opportunity, that next door. Right? So I do think that in my life, I've watched that transformation where I stopped just putting out all the affirmations, and I coincided that with action. So I have the energy, I have the intention, I have the gratitude, and I have the action. And now I'm seeing some fruits, not exactly where I would like to be. So to me, that's it has to become all of it has to be added in together. Your energy, your gratitude, your intention, with some action, and with the idea that I deserve more. I deserve equally what everybody else deserves. Once you believe that you deserve, then the universe aligns with you and says, yes, you do. Here it is. So for me, that's where the journey is. And that's where now I see money as, it's almost like leaves in the fall on a tree. Just money kind of flows. It's flowing into me instead of landing 50 foot in front of me and just saying, hi, I'm over here. But it's now a flow. And you have to, I think too, in this world, in this society, we think that we have to hold on to it. What we get, we have to hold on to so tightly. It's a flow. It's going to come to me and go for me. I'm going to get it and I'm going to give it to you because it has to be a flow. Right? So that's where I'm at with it. I'm ready to let it flow abundantly.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. About the flow, we actually discussed this on the Sunday meditation. I brought up, is it 2019? We had the conscious manifestation course, right? So 2019, October, Eckhart had a Omega Institute, what do you call it, retreat kind of thing, right? And somebody asked him this question about money. I wouldn't go into the whole, about taking money for spiritual, like you're spiritual, but you're taking money, right? How do you feel comfortable with that? So he did mention that he does not let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. Like he takes from the right hand and the left hand gives away. Like you're saying, right, about flow. So that is really, really important that we know that current, that's why money is currency. It's a current. It comes in and it goes. Eileen, in the last, you may have missed April, she was talking about her neighbor, helping her neighbor pay the electricity bill by letting her do chores, and Eileen was paying. So that is abundance consciousness, right? Again, I'll give and I will get back. I don't know where I'm going to get back from, but I will get it back. The other thing, very important pointer that you mentioned was about the feeling of the house. What Eckhart says is the ego always wants to use something that is in a new earth. He says something about go to New York City or go where there are tall buildings. And just because you have a piece of paper that says that you own the tall building does not make you the one that is owning the tall building, right? Because it's impermanent, it's external form. But that's what the ego wants to do. Is that's why we when we were not spiritually awakened, buying a car, because it is against a firm thing, right? So anytime we are doing big solid things, then we are letting the ego take over, because the ego is anchoring itself in feeling the superiority over getting the bigger things. Then this poverty consciousness, and people can play with us online and let us know what they think is the limiting belief around finances. This is huge because I'm positive most of us are not financially wealthy. We are not independently wealthy. And the infinite potential to be wealthy is there. If anybody's doing it, then we, each and every human, has that seed, has that potentiation, right, to be wealthy. Why are we not wealthy? Going back to your poverty consciousness, one of the things that one of the group meditators had brought up is their family member would buy something like from a neighbor kid, right? And they said, they explained during our group meditation that they would always feel, why are they continuously buying this when we have so much of, let's say it's something like apples or oranges, right? Buying a whole bunch of oranges from the neighbor kid, right? Then I explained to them on my one-on-one session, I explained to them, do you realize that the orange has satisfied its purpose in the buying? Because what are we doing in the buying? We are saying, neighbor kid, here for your efforts of taking a cart and driving it around, here's your $5 or whatever, right? What our mind will say is, what the thinking mind will say is, why am I wasting food? Why are we just buying so many oranges or so many lemons or so many fruits over and over again, right? Both Anthony William and Abraham Hicks point this out, that the fruit has served its purpose in the vine, right? So that is poverty consciousness. When we say, I don't have enough, so I'm not even going to honor the neighbor kid by buying. So they really had a very transformational experience when I explained, see, when you say that there is not enough money to give to the neighbor kid, then you're engaging in poverty consciousness. We do that with little things, I don't know how many of you had parents where if you peel carrot and you cut the head of the carrot like a little bit more, they went, why are you wasting the carrot? If you took the peeled an onion and you peel, like I don't like the black stuff, so I'll peel the second layer of the onion before I start to chop it, right? And I've heard so many people criticize me about taking the second layer. Why am I wasting the second layer, right? Like I want to have a very clean onion. And I'm like, isn't that what Eckhart is teaching us? That don't introduce that anxiety. The moment you introduce the anxiety over little things like this, why are you throwing that in the trash? Why are you, how much do we go back and forth poverty consciousness? That engages the poverty consciousness. So please do watch the video, and I'll share it on the group page as well, because we discussed it a few months back on our group meditation, the poverty consciousness video, and it was posted to YouTube right after we discussed it. So I'll post it again. It is available on YouTube. Look for Eckhart Tolle, poverty consciousness, and he'll talk about how we are, like, even if 5 cents more, we think that we don't have the 5 cents extra to spend on something, right? So let's move on. We said finances. Then the next thing I said was health, right? So when are my intentions and desires not in alignment with and supported by planetary intelligence with regards to health? And Kelly, since you do Qigong and you actually healed yourself of so many illnesses, when can I have some kind of limiting belief around health? and my intention about being healthy is not being supported. Thank you.
Thank you, Poonam. Well, health is a very, health and wellness is a very important reality to understand. And the health and wellness of the human body has everything to do with our emotional responsibility and our level of emotional awareness. I learned that, the asthma that I had as a kid growing up had everything to do with the fear around me and the tension around me as a child, at school, at home. Once I figured that out, once I cured myself of hypoglycemia from just having a conversation with myself and observing the emotional content that surfaced when I had a Coke and a chocolate bar and fruit that I was supposedly allergic to. When, we get into planetary, the concept of planetary intelligence, it's important to understand that we are subject to cultural perceptions of how to be vulnerable or how not to be vulnerable or not to be vulnerable at all with ourselves, especially with ourselves, not to communicate with ourselves, not to be present, not to listen to what we are feeling. And ever since I cured myself of my asthma and my bronchitis, that has been one of the primary things that I have paid attention to, is what I am feeling and why. Habits that we form with our thought process and our emotional awareness or lack thereof directly affect the body. Whether or not we are aware of our mind's eye and the impact of our mind on our body also determines our health. And the level that we are aware of our personal habits with communicating with ourselves really reflect themselves in our physical bodies. The reality is that the more we still our mind, the more we quiet ourselves, the more we go inside, the more we can disassemble negative, and I use the term negative loosely because nothing's ever, really negative. It's all about that learning experience. How deep we want to go down the rabbit hole will also determine how deep we are rooted in an open and expansive health-based perception of self, a healthy perception of self. I mean, for me, everything to do with health has got to do with our emotional presence, our emotional vulnerability, our capacity to let ourselves feel and to be present with what we feel no matter what's going on. And this is all about stepping into observation and being able to observe and detach and not identify with the emotion, but go deeper and go into the story underneath the emotion and get into the narrative that caused that story to happen in the first place. Everything in Qigong talks about tension in the body and the interaction of Qi or blood flow, Yi, the power of intention, and Shen, the strength of your heart, or the spirit, the energy of the heart that you put into every action, every thought, every feeling, et cetera, et cetera. So this is why I love Qigong. It geeks me out. I could, spend hours talking about it, but I won't because, we're all sharing the space here. With Qigong, what we do when we practice Qigong, and the reason why practice is essential, and it's called practice because you're supposed to practice, is we practice listening to the body. Qigong is all about listening to the body so that you can hear the blood flow and you can hear where your mind is when you're trying to focus on a movement. When you're trying to focus on a movement, when you're opening the body and reaching into the body, learning how to listen to that space will tell you where your mind is at, will tell you where your awareness is at. And this is how you become present with Qigong, is you learn where your awareness is at. And if you're not silent and still inside, it's that simple. And I mean, it's a progression. There are lots of layers to it. You learn how to listen to the blood, you learn how to listen to the mind, and in turn, those teach you where your heart actually is and how to listen to that space and how to go inside and identify with your alignment with spirit and creation and the eternal as an actual concrete, physical, visceral experience. My 2 cents.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I think you've given like the deepest wisdom that could be said about our physical body in this short 5 or 10 minutes that you've spoken. If people can rewind it and keep listening to it, they would probably be able to uncover any kind of illness, because that's the key, right? That you said there's an underlying emotion, which may be like a limiting belief.
Yep.
That is manifesting our illness. So we can be, the book, The Nature of Personal Reality, says you could be eating the most healthiest food. You could be working out like crazy, right? But you're still sick. And exactly what Kelly said, that underneath that, you're not looking at the emotion. You're not looking at, maybe you hate being sick, right? And you're holding on to the limiting belief that I should never be sick, but then that exact limiting belief is the one that is manifesting the illness. So it is so important to look at our whole body. That also goes to the pain body as well, right? One of the discussions I had on, and everybody can on the panel and everybody online, please do respond and let us know. My experience of the pain body is, it is a knot in the body. It is an energy that is stuck. So if you want to quickly say about the pain body, and I'll go around the panel. What do you think of the pain body, Kelly?
The pain body is the understanding and awareness of tension that we hold on many levels: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual.
Awesome. Thank you. Eileen, did you want to talk about health as my intentions not being manifest? Like, I want to be the healthiest person on the face of this earth, but my intention is not manifesting. I'm not being supported by planetary intelligence, and why? Thank you.
Yep. I feel like a lot of what Kelly was saying is things that I've kind of learned in my experience. Because one of the teachers that I read on, Bruce Lipton, talks about it as like the biology of your beliefs. And so I've learned over the last few years that my belief system and what I'm thinking has more control over my health than anything. Because even when things happen, injuries, for example, even those things heal faster with the right thinking and the right beliefs. And I know that I've had things that have been wrong for years that went away in an instant once I got my thinking kind of in alignment with what, should be, or not should be, but in alignment with, trying to figure out how to say that. But I still have issues sometimes. So like I will, not the same maybe that I had for years, but I'll still have issues with like tension in the body. And then it like kind of builds. And then I'm like, I don't get it. What's the issue? What's the problem? And then it's like, oh, wait, drop it. There's not an issue. There's not a problem. And sometimes it just takes a few times of coming back to it before it will dissolve or release, whatever you want to call it. But that's it.
You want to speak about one of your healing experiences?
Yeah, I've actually had like 2 or 3
Two or
now.
three, I know.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we said it at the same time.
Yeah. I think I've had 3 now. But the one was a pain. I'd say it almost felt like somewhere between a golf ball and a tennis ball, like a knot in behind my shoulder blade. And it was there for over 10 years. Over 10 years. I did absolutely anything I could think of. Every therapy, every massage, chiropractic, everything. And even if it dissipated for a day, it came right back every single time for over 10 years. And once I started looking into biology of beliefs, and I was actually reading something or watching something from Greg Braden, and he mentioned about how, you can have that thought of being grateful for the healing, even though the healing maybe hasn't presented itself just yet. And I thought, oh, like that, I never like thought about it that way. And so I went through like the intention, and the whole ball, like the whole thing, the whole knot just disappeared in an instant, and it hasn't come back. And it's been a year. Actually, it's been like a year and a week. About. So that was one, but I've had a couple others since then. But like things that have gone on, you feel like you'll have for the rest of your life. It's not like something that's like, oh, I had a headache today. But just things that have just disappeared.
Beautiful. Thank you. That shows that there is a non-conceptual intelligence, the way Eckhart says, right? That we are connected in that stillness, in that connection to source. We are connected to that universal intelligence that heals by itself. And Greg Braden, I don't know what word he uses. He uses like some people spontaneously like will themselves into healing, like somebody in a wheelchair. I've heard of a woman in a wheelchair that she imagined herself running and she started walking suddenly. One day she got up and she started walking. And
Yeah,
that
I think
those
they call them like radical remissions, I think.
Okay,
like that.
perfect.
It's something like that.
Okay, perfect.
But yeah,
Thank
I
you.
feel like honestly, when I'm explaining it to people, the thing that I have to bring up the most is the feeling that's behind it. So like not just setting the intention, but like aligning how you feel, the emotion behind it has to be aligned. You have to be thinking it with absolute gratitude or enthusiasm, because even if you set that intention, if you aren't really believing it and that's not aligned, it's not going to manifest. And so I have to talk to people about that a lot. Like my husband will say something and I said, no, like you really have to believe it. Well, I do. No, like not just I do believe. No, you really, you could tell just by the way he speaks that he doesn't really believe it.
It's just like the forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
People say, oh, I forgive.
That's what I did.
Do you really forgive? And then
I
know.
thought, I swore I did, but I obviously hadn't. So yeah, I had that experience too. That was just a few months ago.
Perfect.
Yep.
I think your meditation helped still your mind so you could focus on the gratitude as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
I agree.
Perfect. Thank you, Aline. Caesar, did you want to talk about limiting beliefs around health? Why are my intentions and desires not manifesting?
Around health, yeah. I always resort back to being a kid and just feeling great all the time. No ailments. Here I am in my 50s and I feel it. A lot of it's normal, for the type of work that I do. But when, you sustain an injury or a disease of some sort, an ailment in that way, I love Kelly's take on it, and grateful to hear Eileen's take as well. And once I started learning about the energy aspect of what we are, and we are this extension of source energy, and that we are, perfect in that sense. And you almost have to remind yourself that your health is perfect regardless of the state you are in now, health wise. It's always about, we know that most illnesses and diseases are born out of stress. It's the reaction pain body, the reaction to the mental state for the most part. And it's important to catch it. Like, I've been doing a little study on the energy of things in the form of chi. That's why I'm so anxious to get into your group, Kelly. And I'm really looking forward to it very much so. And but I like to catch when I start hurting. And I had a similar problem develop last week with my shoulders. And when you said that, Eileen, it was kind of, it's what's happening now. But I like to try to figure out why. And I take that back. I do not like to figure out why. I just like to take my thoughts away from it and not keep identifying with the pain as I'm the victim of this pain. And in reality, I think pain is just energy that takes on a story. And I believe through the intentions and a little mind tweaking, you can really change the story of that energy from pain. We understand pain as something that's hurtful. Developing from a disease or an injury of something like that is very, I don't want to say easily manipulated, but most definitely. I mean, there are people out there who enjoy physical pain, and that's essentially what they have done, is they changed the story of the pain. To them, it's pleasure. And in this way, like Kelly said, it's just really important to pay attention to what's happening on the inside. Listen, I didn't get as far as the listening to the blood, but I can totally relate, and I want to get there. I'm anxious. But, to eliminate the stress, and I like to follow a certain chi master, and he's always saying how to smile at your inside, smile at your heart, smile at the blood. Our cells in the original state were absolutely perfect. The trillions of cells that make up this glob of body are individual cells, and they're constantly dying and rebirthing themselves. Well, when they rebirth, they're rebirthing to the absolute perfect, healthy nature that God has placed within us. Each individual cell is born. And the only thing that stops that cell from becoming perfect in its natural state again is our thoughts about it, I believe. Yes, Kelly? Yeah. So it is with the stress and things of that nature that block themselves or confuse them, so they don't generate back to the perfect state of perfection as they were as when we were born in that way. So limited beliefs, identifying with that pain, and then, which obviously, what you feed grows. That's energy. So when you focus your attention on the pain itself, I believe the pain is going to get worse. It's that of gratitude, the vibrations of gratitude and joy and love and peace and stuff like that is what dissolves that in my mind. There's my 1 penny.
Thank you so much, Caesar. It's more like experience the pain. What Eckhart says is give it spaciousness, right? Like feel it completely, because it's just a sensation. Feel the sensation. Like, I mean, the men may not understand it, but that's what you do when you're doing natural birth.
Allow it to be, embrace it, yes.
Embrace the pain. So thank you. Kelly, were you going to say something about the inner smile? I know you posted something here on the chat.
Sure, I can add a penny or two. Sure. It is an actual Taoist internal alchemy thing of sort of like a beginning foundation practice of smiling inside, of closing the eyes and looking at the inside of the body, literally cataloging everything from the top of the skull down through the eyes, the teeth, the jaw, the throat, the spine, the rib cage, and smiling at your body from the inside out. It's a way to build an internal practice of connecting and being present with the body, present with yourself, and smiling in gratitude at your literal physical reality.
Awesome. Thank you. Luis, did you want to say something about health and why would my intentions and desires not manifest?
Well, a couple of things. One is that came to me is when you know, a child, a lot of times we have to, I think, be careful about our words, because I know, like, you know, I have a big family and I can see that in different, you know, the different family dynamics where they'll start, oh, you're so chubby, you're so cute, look at those chubby cheeks, and or you look so skinny, you look like you're gonna fall over and die. And so you get, you know, your ideas from what you're told as a child, or you get teased a lot because you're overweight, or you get teased a lot because you're underweight. So I think those are some limiting beliefs that we get when we're younger. And then, you know, we can, you know, take on a whole story or a bunch of stories from that. But I also feel that, you know, part of being on this path and doing this practice is, you know, we constantly are talking about being loving towards other people and giving and sharing, but we a lot of times forget to do that for ourselves and to honor ourselves and our bodies and to really love ourselves. And I think when you change that mindset to, like, you know, I am honoring my body, I am loving myself, and you have that and you really feel that, then your actions are just naturally going to want to eat healthier and want to exercise or want to do whatever is best for you, for your body, because you're feeling it inside. You're feeling that love towards yourself and the honoring of yourself. And it's just, you know, you find yourself just looking for ways to be healthier. And a lot of it does come down to your practice of being, you know, aligned and or aligned, and then you're led. You know, I feel like a lot of things I don't really do. I just feel like I'm just kind of led to where I need to be, and I do listen to my body a lot. You know, I know, like, at one time my mom's like, how do you know these things about your body? Because I'll say, oh, you know, I'm feeling this, or I know this, or, and I just, you know, analyze a lot of times what I'm feeling. And I think by doing that, you know, it's like leading by example, because I'm finding that my husband and my kids are starting to do that as well. Like, they're, you know, wanting to eat more fruits and vegetables and wanting to, you know, like, I was making celery juice for my husband, and at first he was like, it's such a hassle. You mean you have to do that to clean the, you know, the juicer? And you know, and I said, I don't think about it. You know, I get up, I make my lemon water and I drink it, and I make the celery and I clean it. And it's like, it doesn't take that much time, because I don't really like regret, you know, I'm not putting all this like fighting energy into it. Like, oh, I got to get up and make lemon water. Oh, I got to clean the celery and cut it and put it in the juicer. And if you do that, then it is going to be a hassle. And, you know, but if you have the attitude of, I'm honoring my body, I want to be healthy today, I want to feel good, then it all changes.
Perfect. Thank you, Louise. Thank you for that example. And I feel, for me, this past maybe 8 days or something, we've turned the heat up, right? Because it's really, really cold. And what has saved me is the celery juice. Because I drink enough celery juice, I feel hydrated all the time, because it's so dry. Because of course we don't have these winter weather, so we don't have humidifiers to compensate for all the dryness, right? we don't have humidifiers at home, where if you would have lived in Colorado, we would have had a humidifier at home, right? So the celery juice, I feel,
Yes.
is saving me. So thank you. Thank you for that. This also reminds me about what you said, Debbie Ford. If any of you want to see this, and Kelly has talked about the shadow effect, she's done a movie called The Shadow Effect, and exactly what Louise is talking about. She shows these young children, right? Like maybe girls that are 10, 11 years old, and the mom may have slapped some girl's finger and said, "Don't eat those cookies." Like she's reaching for a cookie, and she slapped the girl's finger and says, "You're growing too fat. Don't eat those cookies," right? And so they show the girls having like a shirt on, and it says, "I'm too fat," or I'm just making this up. I don't exactly remember the exact phrase. Like internally, we are feeling, "I'm too fat," or I'm a loser," or what. And then on top of that, they put on another shirt, and on top of that shirt is written OCD. They develop an obsessive compulsive disorder because I'm feeling that I'm not worthy, like April says, right? I'm feeling like I'm not worthy, but here I'm going to have OCD on, so everything is perfect. I'm going to wear matching earrings, to have perfect makeup, to perfect handbag. My shoes are going to match, right? My whole world is going to be perfect. My office, everything is going to be placed exactly the way it needs to be. I'm going to clean spick and span. I used to work at a place in year 2010, 2011. That executive admin, like the break room was immaculate, like nothing, like the Coke cans, all the Coke cans were turned around, like where you could see the word Coke. Dr. Pepper was turned around so you could see the word Dr. Pepper. It was like so perfectly done. And even I have the habit of being very, very clean. So I used to, wherever I did any work, like cabling work or working at somebody's desk or anything, I would like clean it up and everything. She was so happy with me. She was like, extremely joyful when I'm around, like because I always clean up. Like even you know how people in the break room they use the dry powder creamer, and then the creamer is all around the cup, and they walk away. I would like take a wipe and actually wipe it down and keep the break room pretty clean. So she was really happy with me. But I mean, just think that internally, the limiting belief is what Louise is talking about, right? That I'm not worthy, but I'm going to make everything else perfect, right? And then that translates into OCD, and that translates into being angry with others when they're not following those OCD kind of behaviors. And then that anger is the reactivity, the wheel of karma, action and reaction, right? Then more things happen to that person that are challenges. So that's something available to everyone online. Watch your action. Are you OCD? And if you're OCD, then watch the action reaction, because internally you are being reactive towards the other. You may not say anything, but just the energetic feeling of resistance is a reaction. So watch out for that reaction, right? Thank you, Louise. April, anything on health and my intention not manifesting itself? Thank you.
Yeah. There's a couple different avenues that I could take with this. My initial one was along the same lines as energy trumps matter. Energy comes first, right? So if you, how do I explain that? When I work with people, some of them will have, and I myself have long-standing health issues. And whenever that happens, what I do is I will get on and I'll look up spiritual reason for knee pain. spiritual reason for back pain. Well, there's a reason. And low back pain is not feeling supported. Anything with the spine usually is not being supported. So what does that tell you? That tells you that there has been a long-standing emotional stance, a long-standing emotional belief of I'm not supported. That's the energy. So energy trumps matter. So if I have this belief for a lifetime that I'm not supported, I'm not loved, now I'm manifesting an illness. That's usually where I go with it. And that's along the same lines as what, like Kelly said, it is our emotions. It is our emotions. It's our beliefs. It's what we believe about ourselves. And then we can add in, not only are we conditioned to not believe in ourselves and not think, and I have really, for whatever reason, really thought about this lately about the famous people, everything they do, their videos, their songs, their commercials, their movies, they're perfect. And we are supposed to live up to that, right? These people are going and they're getting fat suctioned and liposuctioned and red lasers and mole lasers and wrinkle lasers and hair lasers. Well, how are we supposed to compete? Yet we think we need to compete, right? And then so there's like many trails I could run up. And then the other one is, and Kelly should probably sit down for this, but I'm getting, it's coming to me more and more. Energy has to be consistently every day done, right? I can't just do yoga once a week. I have to every day do yoga. It is a medicine. It is not a practice. It is not a fun. It is not my once a week go to the gym. It is a medicine, a daily medicine. And that's where I go. I know, Kelly, you're so excited.
Thank you so much, April. I think Louise L. Hay has a really good way of, in her book, You Can Heal Your Life. She has a great, beautiful way of mapping, here's your symptom, here's the metaphysical reason why you're having the symptom, and here's the affirmation that you can use to kind of overwrite that. But still, just like what the body mind workbook. Okay, Kelly says the body mind workbook is also a great way of mapping the, so beautiful pointer, April. Thank you. The next spiritual law of success was I nourish the universe nourishes me. And I feel this surrounds around limitations around relationships as well. I was going to make it as part of the intentions and desires, but let's talk about it as related to what is the limiting belief when I say I nourish the universe and the universe nourishes me, and what could be my potential limiting belief. Caesar, you want to get started? Thank you.
I'm just going to point here to the Dalai Lama, number 14, and just be kind. Always be kind no matter what you do. The limited belief, I suppose, would be, as Louise was saying about, how we're conditioned young. It takes me back to an instance I always had with my kids, and it was quite the opposite for me with my parents. But I'd scribble something on the paper at the age of 3, and my mom would say, "Oh, how pretty! It's the airplane." So my dad would say, "What is it? It's a bunch of scribble." But that goes on to other things as we get older. As far as what we can and can't do, are you ever good enough? So yeah, the limited belief there. Yeah, nourishing the universe and the universe nourishing me just every step of the way. I love what April said too. You know, there's momentum. You got to keep the momentum going. Today, I just want to share a 30-second deal. I was at work, and for the first time in about 4 years, I had a 10-minute bad spell where I didn't catch myself immediately. One of my guys was on the phone, and I was trying to hurry up to get out of there so I can make it home. And he was on his phone, and I let that one stupid little thing just irritate me just a little bit. I turned around, I stepped in wet paint, I walked, I guess you can say angry, but just on the inside, don't go in a rant or nothing. But inside, I started to build this negative energy. And 5 minutes later, I turned around and walked out of the room and kicked over a can of paint on a brand new carpet. Go me. That's when I realized, okay, stop, take a breath. It's okay. Break this chain. But, you know, on the way home, it was awesome to talk about it because I'm always preaching that to them. You know, when you don't feel right, when you're not feeling right emotionally, stop. Focus on something that does feel good. And that's the stuff that gets us in trouble is when we don't break that negative energy, whether it's sadness, you know, ultimately the sadness can turn into a suicide. You know, anger could turn into a murder. Nothing good can come out of them bad energies, you know, so it's be kind always. And it starts with yourself for sure. Limited beliefs are, you know, people telling you ain't good enough. You'll never make the football team. Yeah, it's a nice picture you drew there, but not going to be hung up, you know, next to, you know, Picasso stuff. So just always believe in yourself and just be kind, starting with yourself to everything that follows, nature, relationships, you know, be kind to your bank account and just everything. So always be kind, Dalai Lama.
I think I had an internet issue. Everything locked up. All of y'all disappeared, and then y'all came back on. So hopefully it got recorded properly. Thank you. I missed the last few minutes of what you said, Caesar. I heard about the kick the paint onto the carpet, and that's what you preach. But then what was it after that? Sorry about that. Thank you.
Oh, that's okay. It was just something that I always, you know, talk about to one of my guys, and I just let that. I didn't catch the negative energy that I absorbed. I let the anger get to me, and it was just a really quick sequence of bad things happened. And until the ultimate happened, when that was the first thing we were told going in the house, just make sure you don't, you know, put nothing on the carpet, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up spilling a can of paint on the carpet. And then that's when everything hit me. Okay, accept this. It's going to be okay. And change this energy immediately. And it started just with the little notion that, you know, just a little thought of my guys on the phone while I'm over here busting my butt, you know, trying to get out of here. And I let that create a spark that turned into a fire. And it was a 20-minute barrage of just negative energy, all that I brought on myself because of this negative emotion that I accepted. And until I stopped and took that one nice in breath and grounded myself again, then it was okay. And then he recognized it immediately, which was cool because, you know, just wait as acceptance, let's slow down, let's get this right and move forward. But being kind to yourself is what I finished the statement with. And, you know, everything that comes in your path, relationships, people, animals, that's being kind to yourself, being kind to the universe and allowing the universe to be nice to you back.
Beautiful, Caesar. You know, that's what Abraham Hicks says, right? When anything happens, she goes, what it is stuck in my vibrational crop. She never looks outside, right? The ego would normally want to blame. Oh, that guy was on the phone. That's why I kicked the paint, or blame somebody else. But you immediately took. So just like what Kelly was saying, you are so into your inner being or into inhabiting your body that you can already see that the irritation started within yourself, and that just snowballed into whatever happened, right? Most people that do not have this degree of presence power would have gone and blamed something else, right?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And everything always, nothing happens externally. Everything we experience in the entire universe on the inside.
Perfect.
There's no external need to blame anything.
We are the co-creators of our reality. That's one thing. Take ownership of our reality, right? That we co-created it, and the power is within me to change it. And you changed it, and you are having a beautiful session right now in providing us the wisdom. So thank you. Appreciate it. Kelly, did you want to talk about I nourish the universe? The universe nourishes me, but what do I feel that opposes that when I'm not feeling nourished by the universe?
Where to start? Loved what you said, Caesar, about kindness. Nourishing ourselves with kindness nourishes the universe, because we are a reflection of the eternal and the cosmic ocean in human form. When we love ourselves, when we are kind to ourselves, and when we share that kindness with others and support each other with love and kindness, we are promoting and supporting a space of love, which is the natural space of creation. When we are kind to each other, we are nourishing the universe. Now, there are a lot of stories in human reality that revolve around judgment and anger and fear. And these are all based on the belief that we are separate, from the universe, that we are separate from each other, that we are a part of and not together and interconnected. So the belief that we are separate, even though we may not be conscious of it, can generate a tremendous amount of anger and fear. When we begin to practice the loving kindness and the discipline of stopping ourselves, great story, by the way. Paint on a brand new carpet is always an awesome learning experience. I've done that. Or on brand new shoes. It's like, what? And that moment is always, the information. Those emotions that we feel are not negative. Those are the learning experience. Those are all of the information that you are suddenly flooding yourself with. And it can be really intense and overwhelming, which is why we like to believe it's negative. But all that information is the depth of the profound learning experience that we're giving ourselves. New shoes, new floor, whatever it may be, paint, other things, or falling into, a lake fully clothed kind of, moment where it's just like, I honestly thought there was more dock there. Honest, nourishing the universe is an interesting concept, because a lot of people will get lost in, how do I nourish, like all of that out there, when it's really about being present. It's really about listening to our stories, being emotionally present, being mentally present, being focused, being disciplined, listening to our stories that we have chosen to believe in, that we are working at disassembling or actually observing, the new stories that we're trying to create for ourselves, so that we can be more in touch with ourselves, more aligned and more emotionally responsible, so that we can be present. And the more that we are present, the more we do nourish the universe, because this is all about vibration and frequency. Because what we give to ourselves, we give to the universe. What we believe of ourselves, we believe of the universe. What we reject in ourselves, we reject in the universe. What we love in ourselves, we love in the universe. What we can see in ourselves, we see in the universe. So when we are actually working at seeing ourselves as loving and kind, and have that as our religion, as our spiritual practice, and we nourish our hearts with that, that ripples out into the universe energetically. And that's how nourishing ourselves nourishes the universe. So when we are working on a project and we are consciously working at filling that space and that connection with that project, be it a book, be it making a sandwich, pouring a glass of water. April, this will go straight to what you were saying earlier about how it's that everyday practice, that everyday discipline. It's just like that every moment discipline. Yeah, it is. It is medicine. You're like, I loved it when you said that. It's like, yes, it is medicine. That space is the greatest medicine and the greatest gift we can give to ourselves, because we are truly nourishing ourselves by taking that little extra little moment to continuously build that momentum and to create that space inside of being present.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And as I said, this applies to relationships, right? What you said in the beginning, where we cause a separation, the limiting belief could be like, my mother does not love me, my father doesn't love me, my sister does not love me, or my daughter doesn't love me, or my son doesn't love me, right? My coworkers don't love me. That's each of those limiting beliefs is a separation. We are not feeling, like you were saying, Kelly, the connectedness is no longer there. We created the enemy, like I'm Palestinian and you're Jewish,
Yep.
right? I'm Hindu, you're Christian. So the separation is created in there. And in that separation, I'm no longer nourishing the universe. So I'm defying this law. And I am not going to be successful the moment I defy that law. I constantly need to pour out the loving kindness and compassion.
And
Right.
loving ourselves is the greatest medicine.
And the loving ourselves will come once there is alignment, right?
Yep.
Like in the moment that
sometimes there's some truth in the whole fake it until you make it, because one of the most important things you have to understand when you are rewriting a script or a story is that you have to balance out the previous script that was there. You have to use invocations, decrees, meditation, yoga, practice, anything to balance out that previous space so that you build that positive momentum, that creative and that loving kindness momentum.
Thank you, Kelly. And I also love the fact that you said, don't call it negative. Just look at it, that it's a notification that's telling you, an alarm clock that's telling you you're no longer aligned.
Yep.
Like your vibrational energy has dropped, bring it back up. So bringing it back up, like April says, the medicine is do your meditation. The moment you feel the irritation, it's time to, Caesar did a conscious breath, do your meditation, take a nap, go for a walk, expose yourself, commune with nature. Eckhart did a beautiful video today, released as part of the School of Awakening introduction, where he just goes 40 minutes into how much nature can be healing, right? Just giving into the sense perception of nature. Thank you, Kelly. Louise, did you want to talk about I nourish the universe nourishes me? What is the limiting belief? We went into some of the limiting beliefs, but go ahead.
Well, what was coming to me is, I guess, more about relationships. And I was just thinking that I feel that one of the things that I really feel that has helped my relationships is being alone. Like, I know that even when I'm meditating, like say sometimes I'll get up in the morning, I'll meditate. I'm not really alone. Like the kids are in the house. One of them could possibly wake up, and they do, and they'll come in the room, you know. So one thing that I've noticed is that I will take like 30 minutes. Like my husband works nights, so when he wakes up in the afternoon, I'll just take off for 30 minutes. I'll go for a walk. I'll go in my room, and I just go in complete silence. And I feel that since I started doing that, it really like has changed my relationships. And I don't really know exactly what it, I guess just being alone and having that, alignment. But I do notice that the kids are even wanting to do that too. There's a 13-minute meditation that Eckhart has out, and I think it's on YouTube. I got it through the School of Awakening, but I have the kids do that, and it's just pure silence. Like there's no, like visualization or anything like that. It's just pure presence power. And I noticed they're really, because they were fighting a lot. The 7-year-old and the 10-year-old were just constantly fighting. And when I started doing this with them, and I don't say anything, like I don't give my opinion or anything. I just go, okay, let's sit down and meditate. And I put that Eckhart Tolle thing on, and at first they couldn't really stay still, like they would be moving around and whispering and stuff. And it's gradually now they almost can do the whole 13 minutes. And their relationship has changed a lot. Like it's a lot more loving, and you can feel the energy, the vibration is different. And I feel like, it's helped I've been married for 35 years. So it's a long time, and we've gone through a lot of, but I do feel that the reason that a lot of it has worked is because I've done a lot of spiritual work, and I feel that it helps my husband, whether he knows it or not. It has an impact on him, and I've seen that change too. It's a little bit slower, but it does work. And he has a lot of limiting beliefs that like I feel have kind of changed too. Like I'll say, say sometimes he'll be with the kids, and I'll say something, well, why don't the three of you guys watch a movie or something? And he goes, it never works. They never sit down. It's never going to work. And I go, okay, well then it won't. And he goes, huh? And I go, well, then maybe you think of something, because you've already, put your intention out there, so it's not going to work. And he goes, what do you mean? And I go, well, if you say, well, maybe this time, or let's try this, or let's do, if you change the thought about it. So he's like, oh, okay. So then a couple of weeks went by, and he said, I think I'm going to watch a movie with the kids. And I was like, okay, my head kind of and he goes, this time I'm going to pick something they really want to watch instead of something I want to watch. And let's see how it worked out great. They had the best. And he goes, I guess there is something to that. And so I think a lot of it is just, being an example and really taking that time out for yourself, because it does matter and it does affect your relationships.
Perfect. Thank you, Louise. And I guess you set the intention out already to go watch the movie, and it manifested a few weeks later. Your intention had more power because you imbue it with presence. So it really impacted them, and they finally watched the movie. So that's a beautiful example right there of a conscious manifestation, right? So thank you.
Yes.
April, did you want to talk about I nourish the universe nourishes me, and any limitations around relationships? Thank you.
Sure. I'm having all kinds of distractions here today. That's my life. I had some yesterday too, right, Louise? I'm having. Anyways, again, it is about flow. It's about energy. It's about what I put out, I get back. But the initial problem goes back to us separating from source initially. And I mean initially from the initial explosion, Big Bang, separating veil from source, coming in, having the veil, not remembering who and what we truly are. That in itself is at our core. It is the whole reason for apparently being here. is to remember who we are, what we are, and that again, going to humans evolving throughout time, and we are slowly learning. It's taken us very long time. we learn quite slowly, right? It has taken us a really long time to where now I feel like almost more of us know we're a soul than don't. We're getting there. I think we're at that peak, you know, where more of us realize that we are souls than ever, which is super exciting to me. Um, so that to me is the key, that when you realize you're a soul and you realize you're part of source and that you're not separate and you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to run this rat race. You don't have to compete. You don't have to get all these material items. Then you can stop fighting. You can stop the resistance, and then the real relationship starts of flow, of the universe supports me and I support it. I give, it gives back. I take, it takes. This is a flow. We take, we give, we take, we give. But you cannot do that until you realize who and what you truly are, which is soul, which is source. And then life becomes easy, magic. Yet you still have to have your experiences. So am I saying you won't ever have troubles? You won't ever spill paint? No, you will. Why? Because you have a goal, because you have a quest, because you have a question, because you want to learn. And because you want to learn, the universe says, okay, you want to learn? Oh, let me have you do this. Let me have this happen to you because you said you want to go over there. Well, you're over here. So now I have to put some things in front of you. But we're going to work together on this, okay? Because I'm going to put these things in front of you and you're going to rise up. You're going to take your big breaths. You're going to do your energy medicine. You're going to remember who you are, and it's all going to be okay. That is the flow. That's the dance. That's the purpose. That's the relationship. That's the support.
Thank you so much, April. And it almost is like one of the things that I've done in the book, and some of you are receiving my book as well, is just like Louise L. Hay did the table, right? I did, sometimes Abraham Hicks talks about it, right, Caesar? What does planetary intelligence think about that, right? When let's say we are saying my son doesn't love me, right? Okay, we said my son doesn't love me, and what is planetary intelligence thinking about the exact same thing? At that point in time, our inner beingness is actually loving our son. The thinking mind may be saying that my son doesn't love me, right? The thinking mind, maybe something happened, just like Louise was saying, right? We get all these conditioned patterns from our childhood, and suddenly we are saying somebody doesn't love, substitute that son with anything, right? My coworker doesn't love me, my manager doesn't love me, my whoever doesn't love me. But what is planetary intelligence or our inner beingness doing at that exact point in time? It is unconditionally loving. What Kelly, Louise, and April said, this connection to source, this alignment, right? In that alignment with inner beingness, then we are being the inner beingness. We are being the infinite capacity to give loving kindness, that infinite capacity to be compassionate, that infinite capacity to love, and no conditions. It's unconditional love. Caesar does not have to do anything. Caesar can be 10 minutes late and there's an acceptance of what it is, and it's fine, right? You said you were going to be half hour late. You actually made it on time, Caesar. As we started, you joined. So everything is unconditional, right? Louise doesn't have to be a certain way for me to love Louise. Eileen does not have to be a certain way for me to love Eileen. Exactly as they are, unconditionally love them, right? Because the ego wants everybody to be a certain way, like how we are. We want to mold the condition pattern. And I love what Abraham Hicks says. What did not work out for all your parents and everybody, they're trying to get you to do what didn't ever work out for them, right? Those are the these condition patterns never worked out for them. And then now they're trying to get us to program us to those condition patterns. So beautiful. Thank you, April. You were going to say something, Caesar?
Oh yeah, I just want to say, like, the soul always knows exactly what you want, and it's always leading you to the path of least resistance. So the universe, in a sense, is always out there saying, I'm over here, all the good stuff you want. Here I am over here. And it's giving you little impulses and little signs all over the place, trying to make it easy for you to align with that, which is good for yourself, for your well-being. That's all.
Thank you, Caesar. And we can see it in our actions. The more we give love, the more we get it back, right? People will suddenly, I see, Caesar, like so many people say to you, oh, thank you so much, Caesar, for these kind words. They always are responding that you are always overflowing with joy, and everybody in your Facebook profile is responding with so much more kindness and so much more love, right? So what you give out is what you get back, right? I nourish the universe nourishes me. Eileen, did you want to talk about what do you feel about I nourish the universe nourishes me?
I don't think I have anything to add additionally that hasn't already been said. I don't think I have anything to add.
How about your through your Buy Nothing project? How do you feel? How do you train people to nourish the universe? And then they realize the abundance consciousness that the universe is nourishing them back. So what is the training that you give them? Thank you. You put yourself on mute, Eileen.
Oops, sorry. I wasn't even thinking of going down like that road, but yes, absolutely. We talk about, which is something that came up earlier, but in different mindset, but we talk about the difference between an abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset. So we talk about always staying in that abundance mindset. So it doesn't matter what your background is, how much money you make, what house you live in, how many kids, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. We're all living in abundance. And so it's just a matter of like switching that mindset, because we're conditioned to think in a scarcity mindset. I don't have, I need more. I need to be helped to have more. Like there's a whole lot to it, but we do, to use the word like train, but it kind of works that way. It's being role models. And so you role model year after year after year, and more people get into that abundance mindset, and then more and more neighbors live in abundance. But we just talk about how, poverty exists, but it exists in so many ways. And so even if you might not have an abundance of food, you might have an abundance of time, or you don't have an abundance of time. Like me, I'm always guilty of that in my group. Always. You don't have an abundance of time, you might have an abundance of connections with people. And so it really is a way to live. I feel like not just to interact with your neighbors, but just a way to live in general. Because if you if you complain about things, you're going to attract more complaining. Like if you have an abundance of complaining, which happens, then you attract more of that. You are already in abundance of. But the same works the other way. If you feel gratitude for abundance, whatever that happens to be, your abundance or the abundance of others, then you have more to be grateful for.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Eileen. So it almost is like if the limiting belief could be like somebody could get focused on, I don't have enough time, and just narrow into that perspective, what Eckhart calls selective perception, right? And all they manifest is shortage of time,
Yes.
not realizing that they have abundance of connection, or
Yes.
the other areas in which they are, abundance of money in the sense that you're able to live successfully, right? You're not really that where you cannot pay your bills or anything of that sort. So there's abundance of money, there's well-being, enough prosperity that there's well-being in there.
Yes.
So
it's and there's like a process to it, because I think people kind of can get that piece a little bit easier. Some people take years to get there, to be able to realize, oh, wait a second, I can drop this. I can, be okay with what I have and give to others. But then it takes a little bit longer to kind of break some of those things, because like I know me, I'm always seem to be lacking time, and I'll purposely go out of my way to figure out what can I do to help someone else with the time that I do have, and it magically opens up more time. So even though like I do struggle with that idea of time being scarce, I do make a conscious effort of trying to break myself of that whenever possible.
beautiful. Thank you. I think Louise was saying, right, that you suddenly get like some $100 thing for babysitting respite care kind of thing, or some kind of gift towards the children, which may be just something minimal like $300. But that is the universe nourishing you, right? Because of all the outpouring. And that's why I keep telling Travis that he's actually, the fact that he physically takes care of disabled people, he's a caregiver, he's putting in billions of dollars worth of effort into already in his, what Abraham Hicks calls the vortex, right? In his vortex, there's already billions of dollars worth of, so that's I'm recognizing that in the $100 certificate or the $300 payment is the universe nourishing back, because Louise gives, she pours out love and affection out to all of us too. So beautiful. And it almost is like, don't we feel, who says it, either Byron Katie or Abraham Hicks, the universe is always working in our favor? Who says it, Caesar? Abraham Hicks says that?
Yeah, she usually she calls that vibrational escrow.
Vibrational escrow. Okay, that's what he's putting into his vibrational escrow. And the universe is always working in our favor. I think we've been here an hour and a half, and Eileen needs to go do something. So today we end at this, and it has been a humbling experience. I hope everybody takes away something from what the panel, the wisdom that has come through the panel today on limiting beliefs regarding why our intentions don't manifest, or why do we feel that we are not being nourished. And the nourishment actually, Sean Aker has this way of saying, your glass is not half empty. You're not realizing you have a pitcher on the side that you can always refill your glass. And that pitcher, according to what April and Kelly said, is in that presence power in every little thing that you're doing, right? Are you buying organic vegetables so that you're nourishing the universe by putting good soil back because it's organic, right? What kind of vegetables are you buying? What kind of water are you buying? What kind of soap are you using, right? Every minute, the intentionality of what you're using, that is what matters. And presence, and then next presence, next moment of presence, celery juice, nourishing the body, all that, then makes a human being live at their highest potential, right? On their high flying disc. Abraham Hicks says, tuned in, tapped in, turned on, right? So highest vibrational state of presence power, completely aligned with inner beingness, pouring out that loving kindness and compassion. So humbling experience as always. Honor and a privilege that all of you are here and everybody out there is here as well. Many blessings. Stay warm, everyone. It's been a cold winter, so have a fantastic day and week, and I'll see you all on Friday. Hopefully the weather is better. Okay, take care. Have a good night. Much love. Thank you.